Okay, so we are working on report one now, but coming up soon, your next assignment is report two. Now, report one is designed to set you up into a situation where hopefully you're reading your graphic novel, you're able to summarize the story, and you try to probe deeper into the graphic novel itself in order potentially, and this is not necessarily a guarantee, but to hopefully potentially find something that might lead you towards potentially starting to think about what might end up being your research question. And so this leads us to what report two is about. And report two is pretty short, but report two is all about us formulating our research question and then turning that research question into a thesis statement. So you'll see here that it is due next Friday. All right. And then I have a little bit of an excerpt here, and I've got a handout to go with this, talking about this and hopefully helping lead you a little bit further into this process here. Oops. That link dead? All right. I may have to go back and double check that in a bit here to see. I'll double check that. But just to get you off on a starting foot here, let's take a look at this little excerpt I have here. And this, I believe, came from a book I was using in a previous class. But you'll see here that they start with this idea of a topic. And a topic is just something. And for you, a topic, a starting point, of course, is your graphic novel. But what is your graphic novel talking about? What is the graphic novel potentially related to? For example, if I was, say, looking at Fun Home by Alison Bletdell, it's a memoir about her growing up with an awkward family relationship, not exactly a close, even abusive father. But it really centers upon the fact that when she was in college, she came out as gay to her parents. And then not long after that, her father dies. He's hit by a truck. And after he dies, she finds out that he was a closeted gay man. And so it leads her into this sort of investigation where she tries to go back and figure out by re-exploring growing up, seeing if there was something that she didn't understand. And it's basically a story about her trying to get in touch with not only herself, but trying to better understand her father. And so even though the graphic novel itself is about that, one of the things that's inside the novel is, father-daughter relationships. That's a topic. Living your life closeted as a homosexual, coming out in college, even the idea of family dynamics, because I think her whole family and her father lived within this very small space. But there's all kinds of things that you might discover, topics that are interesting in there that could pop up, LGBTQ issues, all kinds of stuff. Not to mention the fact that the title itself, Fun Home, is the title that she and her brothers had for the funeral home where her father worked. It was a family business. So you'll see here in the examples I have here is colleges and employers screen applicants using Facebook. Topic, legalizing medical marijuana. Topic, video game violence and school shootings. Topic, texting while driving. These are just things, okay? They're just topics, things that might be discussed. The next step really, though, is to turn them into research questions, all right? And so you'll see that they take this topic here and they ask a question about it. Is it right for employers and college admissions staff to use Facebook as a means for screening candidates? All right? So they've taken a topic, which is just a neutral position, and now they are applying a value statement to it. They are looking at it and asking the question, is it right? Now, if I were to turn that into a thesis statement, I would have to take a side. Okay, so if my topic is college employers screen applicants using Facebook, and my research question is it right for employers and college admission staff to use Facebook as a means of screening candidates, what I might then as a thesis statement say, it is right or it is not right or is wrong for employers and college admissions staff to use Facebook as a means for screening candidates because, okay, that's me taking the question and turning it into a statement. All right, and I'm going to back up that statement, which that alone by itself is simply a claim. My next thing would be to, after I say because, is to offer reasons, and those reasons are what help make it a thesis statement. All right, so that's what you're going to be doing with this next assignment. So you'll see as we did with report 1, I do have here an assignment sheet to go along with us. Okay, and again, you can just plug right in here. Okay, I've got a spot for your research question. I've got a spot for your thesis statement. Okay. In our next post talking about topics, questions, and claims, we'll take a little bit of a look at the idea of how this could apply to, say, a graphic novel using a little bit more of a lengthy process, but just deep down, it's about thinking about what is your graphic novel talking about? What are some themes, ideas that are inside this graphic novel that could be pulled out? For example, I had students in one of my classes last semester looking at a graphic novel called The Silence of Our Friends. Silence of Our Friends specifically focuses on the story of a white family and an African-American family in Houston, Texas in 1967-1968. It involves the African-American father is involved in activism, and there's an incident at HBCU in Houston. I think it's Texas Southern. And the white family, the father works for a television station, and the families try to get along, but they get caught up in the dynamics of race and all kinds of things. But there's also going on is there's this trial of these young men. So there's subject topics that could be explored, such as race dynamics in the 1960s, police brutality, all kinds of things, media influence, all kinds of topics that then you could ask a question about it in order to possibly develop it. And several of my students focused in on ideas of police brutality and things like that, and they actually drew connections to the modern day. All right. So, and then from that, you could turn that into a thesis statement. So, for example, if I were returning to the fun home example, and let's say I chose the topic of the father-daughter relationship, because that seems to be a central angle of why Alison Bechdel writes that memoir, is because she actually writes another one called Are You My Mother, where it's all about her exploring her relationship with her mother. And this is about exploring a relationship with her father, because there's this weird sensation that maybe in her mind, she thinks, why weren't we closer if we sort of shared this? But they chose different paths. She came out, her father spent his entire life closeting it, even though his wife, her mother, knew. She's the one who tells her. Okay? So if my topic was the father-daughter relationship, and I'm looking at Alison Bechdel's Fun Home, maybe I want to ask the question is, perhaps if I'm thinking, I'm just trying to spitball off the top of my head here, but maybe I want to ask the question, is the father-daughter relationship the true central element in Alison Bechdel's graphic novel Fun Home? Now, I'm going on a limb there by saying that because a lot of people see it as a story about coming out, being gay, LGBTQ, but I'm asking the question, well, maybe this is the real theme. Maybe it's really a father-daughter story, and that's what its central theme is. And so I asked the question, is it? And so I would have to pick a side. Okay, I'm either going to argue that it is really a father-daughter story, or it is not. Okay, so let's say I chose to say it is. So if I were my thesis statement, it is Alison Bechdel's Fun Home is really a father-daughter story about the struggles in their relationship, because, and then I would offer reasons. Those reasons will later be unpacked inside my actual paper in support of that thesis statement. Okay. And of course, to help you out, as I did with report 1, I do have an example here. And it's not perfect. Okay. Like I said, none of these are perfect, but you'll see here, this was an example of a student who chose to write about Life Sucks by Jessica Abel. And she asked the question, can a graphic novel like Life Sucks by Jessica Abel be used as a stress reliever? Okay. And then she simply flips it and she says a graphic novel like Life Sucks by Jessica Abel can. All right. It's really just about positioning. If you notice here, she simply takes this to make it a thesis statement and she moves it back here. And so she just flips the question. Can be used as a stress reliever because they provide picture visuals, and so she provides some reasoning. So that's the starting point of a rough thesis statement. So you can sort of see how that process works. And hopefully that should help you guys move this along a little bit further. And I'll find out what happened to my dead connection there.